Well, welcome to another edition of the Debt Matters podcast, where we help Canadians find solutions to their debt with licensed insolvency trustees from across Canada. I'm Wayne Kay. Today, we're going to be talking about financial habits to develop and some to avoid. My licensed insolvency trustee for today, Rob Johnson, joining me from Allan, Marshall and Associates. They've got offices in New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and a new office in Alberta. Rob, thanks very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much for inviting us today.
I get more and more excited about financial habits every show I do. I just love talking about money and figuring out ways to budget stuff. So let's talk about what are some of the financial habits that you're talking about.
Well, the first thing might be to do is just maybe define what a financial habit is. Maybe some people don't understand, but really it's just the values, standards, and routine practices and rules to live by that people rely on to move through their day-to-day financial lives. These habits support their ability to effectively manage money and respond quickly to financial decisions and challenges that may occur. From time to time, there are always those unexpected events in everybody's life that they don't expect, right? Yeah. And it's the ability to manage and move with those.
Yeah, those are the little things that happen. We're going along, and all of a sudden, we look at what's going on right now. For many people, financially, they're raising the kids, which costs a fortune, by the way. And all of a sudden, we see gas prices now. It's just astronomical numbers. We see foods, we see groceries. Everything is going up. Inflation is up like crazy. And so this is where it's more important than ever to really have good financial habits.
Correct. Yeah, and there's some basic financial habits that everybody should have, just so they can, manage their day-to-day lives and, stay on track. Some of the top 5 financial habits identified for today. The number 1 would be preparing and reviewing a monthly household budget. A simple budget can help you track your weekly or monthly income and expenses, and helps you focus on your financial goals. A budget should include your monthly expenses and future goals that you're saving towards. And it's also important to review your budget at least monthly to track your progress and to check that you aren't spending more than your income or overspending in a particular area that you might not be aware of. But a budget at the end of the day is the aim is to keep your expenses within your income while staying on track to achieve your financial goals. The second financial habit that I've identified would be to pay yourself first. This is something that everybody forgets about. For many of us, one of the biggest barriers to saving is simply remembering to do it because we're so busy paying bills, we forget to pay ourselves first. But there's a pretty easy solution these days now that we have banking online and stuff like that you can quickly set up automated payments from your checking account into your savings account out of each paycheck. And it just has to be a predetermined small amount that you can afford. And you also include this amount into your budget as a regular expense. But the neat thing is, as it does it in the background, you don't even know it's happening until you check your savings balance and find out that you've actually been putting money away and not even realizing it. It's quite amazing, actually, to how such a small amount saved each month or each paycheck can add up over time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay, terrific. Number 3 is?
Number 3, always try to have at least 3 months of expenses saved. And this goes back to what you might have started off with. Life rarely goes according to plan, right? Be prepared to weather any storms that come your way by always having some easy access cash available. Money put away in an emergency fund can help you over some of the bumps in life, such as major unexpected expenses, such as repairs to your home or car, loss of income due to an illness or losing your job. Illness of a loved one. People forget about that because sometimes that can make it hard for you to go to work. And of course, an unexpected event can reduce your income or increase your expenses and throw your budget totally out of whack, unless you have those reserves to compensate for that. Okay. Always aim to build an emergency fund that can cover up to 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. I know 6 months seems quite a reach. Even 3 months, I would assume, would be quite a reach for a lot of households, given these days, given the higher cost of living. But, at least try to have something there as a buffer. And it also gives you a sense of security and control.
But at least if you're shooting for it, at least if you've got that in your mind, because to have 3 months saved for most Canadians, I think is pretty difficult. That's a big number. And having raised kids, I heard it. I always wanted it. there was no chance that it was going to happen. But the one thing that did really work, and we're going to dive more into, the pay yourself first, where all of a sudden you started building that little cushion there, and that makes a big difference. What's number 4?
Number 4 is always review your risk protection plan. And what I'm referring to here is like insurance and stuff like that. An emergency fund can help you cover the expenses for a few months if something happens. A risk protection plan aims more to cover you and your loved ones over the longer term. Just looking at insurance, that helps you to, essentially minimize financial losses due to unexpected events. It helps protect your assets and financial investments, reduces the need to deplete your savings or take on more debt given an unexpected event, which could mean having to abandon or delay any financial goals, which is what you don't want to do. Mm-hmm. And it's also important to regularly review your insurance needs as things change in your life over time. Everybody's life changes. Do you need to update your beneficiary or expand your life insurance protection due to a new child in the house? Do you rent buildings and need to review, you got more tenants in a suite, or, car usage? Are you driving farther to work for a new job? How those things affect you. There's small things. Well, they're not small things, they're big things, but there's things that go overlooked that have a huge impact if something goes wrong. Again, like I was saying before, few things in life stay the same for long, but regularly reviewing your insurance needs, make sure you're always protected.
And number 5?
Look to schedule an annual financial wellness checks with an advisor. It's just like going to the doctor for a regular health check. Reviewing your financial plan annually with an advisor helps you, create goals and develop a financial plan and how to achieve them. It also may help identifying gaps in your financial plan, such as, insurance that isn't meeting your needs. Also, you can get into more complex topics such as investments. Put in plans to pay debt down faster, including consolidating loans into one place. And as well, the financial advisor can also provide recommendations for proper financial products that actually meet your needs versus buying some that provide you with no benefits. You really need to look at insurance policies and other policies and things we get into, other financial instruments. And some are beneficial and some we just have and they don't really provide any benefit. Mm-hmm. So should we continue with those?
Yeah. And the nice thing is, it's kind of like when you have somebody that's going to be looking over this finances, you're going to maybe be a little bit better with it. Well, let's dive into what financial habits should be avoided.
Okay, well, financial habits to avoid. I think I've identified 5 big ones. The top one, of course, would be racking up credit card debt. That's one of the most expensive bad money habits a person can have. Because, as we all know, high interest credit cards can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest costs annually. And as well, having high balances on your credit card can also damage your credit score. So to avoid wasting money and interest, be sure you're paying your balances in full every month, because this will help prevent debt and saves on interest expenses, and also allows you, by not paying those interest costs, to divert some of your actually monthly income towards other savings or other financial goals. Mm-hmm. Try to avoid shopping when you're bored. Back in the day, this was also called home shopping network syndrome. Shopping late at night when you're half awake and bored, right? Picking up the phone and dialing in and ordering whatever it was, the deal of the night on the TV. But unfortunately, these days, it's gotten even easier thanks to online shopping. So it's far, far more easier to shop when you're bored, scrolling through on your tablet at home. But, shopping due to boredom is a terrible financial habit. And that unfortunately can rack up large amounts of debt without noticing it. Because remember, it's all going through electronically in the background until you get your bill at the end of the month. Sometimes you can easily lose track of what you spent online through Amazon or through other mediums. Mm-hmm. Because myself included, after Christmas shopping, looking at my statement, it was a bit of a shock that because it was so easy and that accumulated pretty quick.
Yeah, I think that's a major problem for many people too, is that, they just start shopping and then there's that silly, let's buy more so that we don't have to pay any shipping. So I need to buy something for $12 and the shipping is $4, but if I spend $36, I get free shipping. So then I go spend $36 instead of the $12. You know what I mean?
And we've all been a victim to that.
Yeah, mathematically, we just have to. We just have to get the free shipping. So we end up spending way more money than we should have if we were just to pick up one item. So that's a great one. What's number 3?
Impulse purchases. All those items displayed in the checkout line aren't there by mistake. They're all purposely put there, especially at eye level of children. It's essentially a retail tactic to get you to spend more money before you leave the store. And those types of purchases add up quickly without even noticing. So, for instance, let's say your impulse purchases are averaging like $100 a month. That adds up to like $1,200 a year that could be put elsewhere. And most of the time, that stuff you buy at the display counter on the way out is non-essential and quite disposable.
I don't buy it just because it's there and I know it's a trap. That's it. It's just pure, simple. I refuse to buy it. What's number 4?
Number 4 would be shopping for status. Some people buy things just to try to impress other people. Sometimes it's easy to get caught up in, celebrity fashion and a desire to impress people with things you have. However, shopping for status is not the way to find real friends or at least the financial issues down the road. Always try to remember you don't need to impress anybody with what you own. You are you, and that's all it should matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a very important one. And the final one is?
Buy now, pay later. These are the plans that everybody gets caught with because you buy it now and you get a 6, 12, or 18-month deferral and you totally forget about it. And the other issue with these plans are they often encourage people to purchase more products than they can afford because they tend to forget about, down the road when this bill comes due, that they have to satisfy it. So this could put consumers in a difficult financial situation, and it's always something to be aware of. And you can impair your credit scores if you're unable to pay on time, or essentially if you were to have too many of these plans on the go at the same time. It does get reported to the credit bureau and will have an impact on your credit score overall.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the information you're talking about, it goes against what real millionaires do in their financial habits, because I read a lot of different books regarding, millionaires, the millionaire next door, etc. And they're people you would never expect. They're driving older cars. And so it was funny because, there's no credit card debt. They don't shop when they're bored. They don't like to spend money. They don't like to impulse buy. It has nothing to do with status. Their status comes to, what their retirement income is going to be. Really, that's the main focus. And they don't fall into these traps. If they can't afford it, they don't buy it. Buy now, pay later.
The other thing that people got to consider is how do bad financial habits affect a person? These financial habits, all have an impact down the road on a person's finances. The only way to essentially ensure a financially secure future is through proper financial planning. If the planning is inadequate, it could spell disaster. Also, setbacks are inevitable. You're always going to come across those, so try to prepare for those. But it can be devastating if you don't have adequate planning. But the effects of bad financial habits typically include, significant increases in debt. Debt's a big problem. Without proper financial plan or budget, it's very easy to spend beyond your means without being aware of it. Over time, this could leave you with substantial debt as you head towards retirement. Mm-hmm. And that leads into another bad effect or negative effect would be not having enough for retirement. In order to maintain a reasonable quality of life at retirement, you need to save and plan ahead for it. A financial planner can help you make sure you have the proper investments and spending plans so that you have more than enough to enjoy your retirement. Another bad habit or bad effect would include, living beyond your means because poor financial management can easily lead to overspending. Preparing in advance for large expenses is critical. It's much more rewarding to save for your next big purchase than running up your credit cards. If you're not careful, this can lead to further debt, which can easily spiral out of control.
Yeah. And there's a pride. There's a pride that comes along with, saving up to buy something as opposed to just going out and putting it on your credit card. It's really just it's something different. There's something about that when you save up and then you're able to go buy it, using your debit card or your cash or what have you. There's something psychological to that.
Because you earned it.
Yeah, you earned it. You worked for it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, very important. Okay, debt cycle. There's a lot of people that get into something called a debt cycle where they buy stuff, increase the debt, and then they work really hard to get out of the debt, and then they get out of it and they go back into debt, and they just constantly are on this wheel.
Yes, a debt cycle is, essentially is a cycle where you get behind on your financial obligations and fall further and further into debt. Most people don't even realize they're trapped in the cycle until it's too late. Some of those signs include, living paycheck to paycheck because all your income every month is coming in to pay your essentials, and then the remaining part is going out to pay or satisfy debt obligations. Another sign would be that you're only able to make the minimum monthly payments on your debt. Your debt to income ratio is out of balance. That's usually another sign. Credit card issues are increasing with maxed out limits. And of course, at the end of the month, there's nothing left for savings at the end of the month because essentially all your disposable income is going to satisfy these monthly debt repayments. And again, it's just a cycle where, once you find yourself in it, it can be very difficult and challenging to get out. But, debt cycles can be reversed by effectively budgeting for all your monthly expenses and increasing your debt payments to pay more of the principal each month, which would offset future interest costs, of course, and then really look at your budget and your habits and, what non-essential expenses can you cut out? Do you need to buy lunch every day? Do you need that Tim Hortons coffee? And then there's also the last one, is to consider a second or a part-time job to increase your income so that you can manage those debt repayments and to get things back under control. And hopefully, if somebody does lean towards a second or part-time job, that's just a temporary thing to get themselves back on track. Because again, at the end of the day, your mental health and your physical health is very important as well. And you can't neglect those either.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff to juggle, but a lot of it makes perfect sense when we budget, pay ourselves first, save some of that money, those key points that you were saying were the good financial habits, and then avoiding all those bad ones. If we can just get that under wrap, we'd be doing great.
And that's what it all is all about, is trying to build and protect quality of life that you'll enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. Any final words you'd like to share with us?
Again, budget. That can't be stressed enough. Without budgeting, it's like driving a car without a map.
Rob, thanks very much for all the information today.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting us.
You got it. My guest today, Rob Johnson from Allan, Marshall & Associates, licensed insolvency trustees. You can get a free consultation, by the way. If you have financial questions, you can contact them through their website, wecanhelp.ca. And that's it for today's Debt Matters podcast. Just make sure you subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts from. And of course, for more information, you can always check out debtmatters.ca. Thanks very much for listening.